Hi. Wow, now I know how to do that. Hey, how's it going? I am going to read some cards and probably talk. Well, I will have to talk to do the card part, so I guess talking's a given. Anyway, please look at my signs. Okay. Alrighty then. So, oh, I want that. I pulled just 2 cards this time because I don't know, that just felt like the right thing to do. I mean, I have other cards that I pulled, but I have decided that they're not necessary. Not for this. So, but I want to talk about how my day went yesterday a little bit. Things are definitely looking up. I have a new phone on the way, a more powerful, better brand and everything phone, and it actually didn't cost me that much. And because of the provider who I have previously dealt with, and I seem to be inextricably chained to, I'm still dealing with that same provider that, well, we've been through some stuff. But when I shopped at the other, like, good deal in the area, they actually made a better deal. Anyway, but that process, because, you know, first I was just going to pay my bill, because I still have, like, their mobile part. I'm not allowed to have the other stuff anymore. Well, not true, because they did tell me if I started a new account, I could do whatever I wanted, but I'm not paying all that money again for cable. I mean, if I had the money, I'd pay it. The convenience was amazing. Anyway, I have learned to get along without it, and then here was the thing though. Like, you get discount for this and discount for that, and you were with the company for so long, and then as we went along through the process, they like hit you with this fee and hit you with that fee along the way, and it still ended up being quite a bit less than the competitor for a way better phone, which was the other reason I decided to go ahead and stay or go back to this provider, is because if I went with the other provider, which I almost did, I almost just paid the bill and I was just gonna get the other program set up, which would have been a new phone, because the one I'm using right now it's ailing. It's like terminally ill. It has episodes, so I wanted to get another one, and with the previous provider, that the phone service, I have just their mobile service now. Because I have been with them so long, I can get an upgrade. With the other company, it would have been like a Sorny. It was some... Never heard of it. I mean, I don't shop phones, and I'm not at all keeping up to date with, like, the index on the Wall Street, so that I know all the companies and stuff. Who cares? That's my... I'll get around to it later. Anyway, I did not want that phone, because the guy was like, yeah, it does this and it does that, and he was selling it so hard. I was like, man, I am not buying it. Like, literally and figuratively. But it was still an option, because I thought I wanted to disentangle from this provider. But no, that is not to be. So, anyway, new phone on the way. Better internet on the way. So, yay. I do miss that. Maybe I'll even be able to use my television monitor to watch my shows, my stories. Yay, there's a new Star Wars show coming out. Oh, sorry, so excited. So, I'm not going to review the past 6 months, year actually now. Oh my god, what a year that was. Wow. When the eclipse that just happened, like what was it, 2-3 days ago, that is about a year. Wow, that's mind-blowing. To the day that like I had like a very financially tumultuous year, and I just wanted to get out of it, man. I just wanted to move the F on from this whole past year and all of that stuff. And a lot of it had to do with the aforementioned provider. There's screaming. There's screaming going on in here. Oh, that reminds me. So, that's more or less resolved. I wanted it to go faster. I pulled 2 cards, and they are the number 33 card, Muse. And it's, or sorry, not Muse, Joyful Muse. Muse. And the subtitle is Inspiration. So that's here. That's this guy. And I will get to that momentarily. But it comes from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. And the other card that I pulled, because I only am using 2, is from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. Whoa. And it's the Cheetah card. So, what is that again? I think it's the fire element that the triangles is standing for. I would have to check that. For some reason I'm blank. Oh wait. It's right here. I can just check it. I'm all like, the book is out of sight and it just went out of mind. I was like, did you see me? I was like, well, where do I look for the answer? About 14 inches away, dingbat, behind something. Moment. Give me a moment, please. Okay. Let me find the beginning of that and answer my silly question. I totally know this. I don't know why I'm blanking out. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. It is fire. I was right. I already lost the page. And everything fell over. Yay! So, Cheetah, fire energy. And you know, and the background is kind of in fuego too. If you notice, he's going so fast, he like broke the air and ignited it for a moment, because you know they're not marathoners. They're sprinters, which is something I need to take to heart. And I know if I'm that way, other people are too. So I had this energy, like I said so many times in the past week alone, I can't wait to be through this period of my life. And the reason why I remarked on the eclipse is because, I don't know, like I didn't see like all of the negative stuff and the doomsday stuff and the end days stuff. That the stuff I was watching kind of made light of, or mocked actually, for just crying the most outlandish scenarios. You know, like it's a sort of taking things like mostly Christians. Like, I didn't really see any, like, other obviously religious types making any kind of predictions of calamity. So and I'm talking about the United States, to be clear. But I know how the ones of us that would latch on to such an idea, I know where they would head. And well, for the Bible, for one thing, like the, lakes of fire and things, and the devil everywhere, and you create your own reality. So if that's what you think is gonna happen, like, that's like, even if it doesn't happen, you're just under, like, it's a bubble, yes, but I just thought of, like, the dome. Like, what about the dome? Wasn't there a show, I think it was a Stephen King show, and the people were in the dome, and I don't know, he always has some sort of encapture or enclosure, entrapment, some sort of situation where you're just, like, housed and surrounded by evil in the Stephen King sense. But but there's, or when I say you, I mean me. There's a community amongst us Americans that get kind of hysterical about this stuff, and they like really want it to happen, and they may not be able to bring it upon everybody else, but they may make things happen in their own lives that they would immediately connect to that. And it is a connection in a way, because you have directed that, whatever it is, toward yourself in all likelihood. So dots connected, I don't know. But what I was seeing that I was more inclined to latch onto regarding the eclipse was that in the way of, like, the Mayan calendar that everyone was also very afraid of, and also Y2K, a lot of fear around those two things, and neither of them came to the calamitous ends that everyone, or a lot of people, were afraid were about to happen. But when the Mayan calendar ended, it wasn't the end of the world, or if you're one of those people. But point is, it didn't end. And in the Mayan times, even though I guess they disappeared from the historical record, and there is a loopy sounding Q thing, or I learned through my association with them. Like, I don't think I would have come across this if I had not been, like, hanging around with them and sharing stuff back and forth, like links and things, and learning up my algorithm to think like that, I guess, on YouTube, or wherever. So anyway, the stuff I'm looking at is like, the loopy Mayan disappearance. Well, it wasn't that they, like, starved or murdered each other, or just, like, for some bad reason horribly disappeared. They more or less ascended. So that's an area where, like, both the loopy Q people would understand what I'm talking about, and then also a lot of non-loopy Q people, and call them loopy or not, call us loopy or not, but we just look at things a little bit differently. Like, when it comes to the ascension thing, right now it's kind of like becoming so pop culture, all of the sort of terminology, it's been around forever, like, there's some updated things about it, but it didn't just start like a decade ago, the awakening thing. And once you really start studying it, you get out of the sort of the way that pop culture and like just culture around you will pick up on it. And like, think of pumpkin spice and how that just like infiltrated everything everywhere. Still have yet to taste it, so I'm very smuggy about that. But anyway, when you go a little deeper with it, like see it for more than just like something you can look at every day in the newspaper like a pop horoscope, there's a lot of layers. It takes you places that took me places that were both surprising and not in a way. So but that's that's kind of like the whole deal about this stuff. It's kind of a surprise and kind of not. So loopy stuff begins to seem okay. That's not so loopy actually when you think about it and learn a little bit more about the subject, particularly around awakening. And like, I've been learning more layers, and I've been, you know, like hot all about it for about a decade now. So you truly live and learn. Oh God, what I just branched off, and what the hell was I really talking about? Okay, so Ascension, Pop, what came before that? Why did I even start talking about that? Well, I'll just go on with my story and see if it comes back. So, got the phone stuff and the internet stuff settled, and I am now in a little bit better position to start, you know, like writing my financial business. And luckily it's not, you know, it's actually like I can do it. It's a reachable goal, you know. So it's gonna take a while, like every freaking thing. And like, I just want it to be over and done with. Oh, the eclipse. So, in the stuff that I'm inclined to look at, what I was seeing, and so yeah, back to the Mayan disappearance. So they ascended, and that's why they're gone. And that's a theory that's probably not going to get any credibility in the greater scientific world and just plain greater society for... I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, because like I said, a lot of this stuff is sort of going viral amongst people, like awareness of these kind of things. You start hearing things about, like, you know, being self-aware and being in the moment and deep breathing, and lots of talk for years about yoga. I mean, that's like kind of tied into it. You know, if I could physically perform it, I'd do it. Oh my gosh, that's scary. I don't know why it happens like all the time. A notification appeared on the phone. So, blah, blah, blah. Right, so it's not like, it's going to become less and less foreign. So I'm inclined to say that it won't reach like greater saturation for like a decade, but it could be sooner. I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong about that. For like all of the stuff I get to be wrong about, I actually would want that one. And so I also had an incident that's been driving me crazy that had to do with my financial wellness. Is that banks, man? I had a good credit union. They weren't charging me some ridiculous amount of money for having insufficient funds when they know that they can see the funds are not there. So when they charge you for that, if there's something that it pays for, fine. But damn, can you like make it cost less? They're just on average about $30. So this last place, the one I first started talking about, the good one, they did that for a while, and I think their fee was not as much, but it was alarming. I went back and I asked them, I said, do you have to just keep charging me when, like, it's not there? Can you just, like, tell them, like, make the, because it's the people that I owe that, you know, like streamers or whatever bill coming in and going, hey, you gonna pay now? And they'll just keep asking and asking, you know, and I say, can you, like, tell, like, just make that not happen? And I forget what I actually said, but they're like, okay. So when the money wasn't there, the money just wasn't there, so they stopped, like, charging me over and over. And I could not get any other place to do that, unfortunately. And something happened with that account that was so good that I was totally happy with, except for its location, because I can't get there without a ride. It's not even that far. Anyway, like, something happened that was not, like, I didn't do it on purpose. It happened to me, but it just, like, screwed up everything. They totally mistrusted me. They just started treating me like a criminal. So I you know, like, they froze my account, and that, like, screwed me up. Like, I don't get a lot of money, and when they froze it, they, like, froze a whole month's worth of money. That just, like, oh my God, that was such a wound, and I couldn't get away from that fast enough. But oh my God, it took so long. I'm still not. So here's what happened. That was the start of it. A little further along than now, last year, like maybe a couple of months, and it has just been, like, such a nightmare. My God, I'm so thankful that I don't really have property or, like, vehicles or any, like, I'm glad I'm broke for this, because otherwise it has been super stressful. It has always been, like, underlying, like, and I don't want, it's like the worst time to be all, I wish I, you know, like, I'm, because of my changing belief system, I don't want to go down that road, right? So it has just been a constant course correction, furrowing my brain. But it's just like a learning experience, or just like a transition, and that's the thing about the eclipse. Like, it came like right around Easter, and there was transformation that Easter's about, and then the transition, unfortunately, for some people who just are losing it about it, is that Easter fell on the visibility day, transsexual visibility day, and it happened when Trump was president too. It's been a holiday since before both presidents, Biden and Trump. But just Trump didn't mention it. He did not highlight it and make it visible during his term. So, but Biden did, and it happened to fall on Easter, which is not, Easter floats. It doesn't fall on the same day every year. It's about when a full moon happens, and then, which sounds kind of pagan and woo-woo, which is, well, it ain't Christian. And I'm just gonna go there to say that I saw a news item that I think MAGA or Christian fundamentalists, I don't know, somebody was mad that the rule in the Easter eggs playing at the White House on Easter is you don't put religious symbols on it, and it's not a Biden thing. Also, a pre-existing thing that didn't even come from the government. I think it came from the egg industry. But I just thought it was hilarious that they're so mad that they couldn't put a cross on a pagan symbol, and they don't even know that the cross is basically the symbol for a patchwork of a bunch of pagan stuff stuck together to please everybody. So I think the Romans could stuff everyone under one religion to control, or something like that. I'm laughing and saying something like that, but I believe it truly is that it was something like that, and it's not kind of woo-woo thing. Like, you can look it up. It's like a history thing, you know. So but you have to actually do some real research and look some real stuff up to find it, because I can't send you directly to it. Sorry, no link. And boy, I wanted to get out of that. So the bank that I had, I get my money in direct deposit, and I wanted to get out of that bank and go back to the original bank that I started with, because I'm on Social Security. And I had stopped using this card because I am not a technical thinker. And this was several years ago, and I had switched to banks because there were things I wanted to buy elsewhere. I mean, that I wanted to buy, and the card was like, no, that's not a thing you're allowed to buy. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought it was my money. And by the way, I'm not a child, and my parents are dead, so again, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm not technical, but I did know that I could like put the money on a different card, but then I had to buy the card. And I don't think it was like it is now, where you can get a debit card and not have any money to start out with. I think that was the issue too. So I said, well, screw this card. It's not letting me do what I want to do, and I got to do that. So I started using the bank, but then, the first place was good until the mishap last year. And I just couldn't like do it fast enough. So I made the switch. I went back to the Social Security thing, because now you can get a debit card without having to have money in it first, and I could just take out what I need that the card won't let me buy and get it with my other thing, right? So, and I'm not like, I don't even remember what it was, but I can promise you, it couldn't have been anything more than like food, clothes, pet food, household item. Like, I don't know what they thought. Like, it wasn't even like I was buying porn. like that's like the worst thing I could think of that I would buy. There's certainly not. I'm not like buying like dark web stuff. I don't even know how to do that. But I think you need a program for it. I don't have it anyway. Slowly though, I was like trudging my way through this process, and the application process was easy. The transfer back, like talking about it, was easy, except it didn't go right the first couple of times. Nothing people told me on the phone with Social Security, or, well, on the phone turned out to be correct, which necessitated me going into the office physically. And there, the same thing happened. I had to go 3 months in a row, make many calls, which involved sitting around, turning into a skeleton, waiting for your call to be answered at Social Security. Interestingly, though, after it going kind of the way it was supposed to the first month, but taking a really long time, which of course made things difficult, and then the next month, it went back into the bank, and I was like, what? And it was, I have not gotten the full amount of my check in probably 4 months now because of this last bank I was at with the insane fees, and they would not stop charging me when they knew I had any money. And so I went in there thinking, well, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the next month I was supposed to get another check, but for some reason Social Security tripped out and sent it back to this bank. So I almost lost my mind, because when I went down to the bank, they had taken out so much of it, like $400 was gone, and that was like, oh my god, I can't even hardly. It like that's way under my budget, okay? what I was left with. So stressful. And then this final month, I was supposed to get the debit card that you get from them. And I had been told that it had been issued at so many different times. By the time yesterday arrived, I did not know what to think. Like I think I mentioned earlier along here that no one told me the same thing twice from Social Security anywhere, including the fact that even though I was instructed as though there were a single organization, Social Security and the debit card bank, the bank is actually a separate bank that the debit card is on. So when I found that out, I was leaving Social Security because finally someone in there said, well, because I had been advised to go in and ask for a duplicate card because me and the people inside the building thought it should have been there like last month, but I don't know. I think I just wanted it to happen faster. I was in a hurry. And so yesterday I go in there and I'm like, what is the problem now? Because the card was not there. It was not there. It was not there. I'm like, people told me it's supposed to be there like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And she goes, well, first of all, we can't, because I was advised to ask for a replacement card and ask for them to hurry up on it, expedite it. And this person was like, well, we don't even do that here. That's a separate organization completely. Here's the number. Called the number, sat on hold, long time. Finally get someone on the phone. They're all, oh, you got to talk to the other number. And I'm like, the what now? So I'm still out in the parking lot of Social Security, and I get on the phone with this other person. And finally, things kind of started to make sense, but they inform me, they go, well, okay, since we sent the card, let me tell you when the card is supposed to come. And she's like, the card's supposed to come Friday. It was always supposed to come Friday. And I was like, that's what I was told in the first place. I didn't say this out loud, but like I said, everybody in between now and this person told me something freaking different. So I didn't know. But the thing was, and this does not reflect well on me, and I'm going to tell you anyway, I was already impatient by the time this was happening, because I had been repeatedly messed up financially and had to have like kind of not great financial months for a couple of months, and I was like ready to be done with it. So I'm talking to this woman, and here's the issue. I was talking to her because I was like, can I get the card expedited? And she's like, well, the card's gonna come on Friday, 2 days from now. So, and this was yesterday. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do, because I was confused. It's just occurring to me now that what everybody else said should not have mattered once the woman made it clear that she was the issuer, basically. But I was confused, like, should I just wait for the other one to come, or should I ask for it expedited? And I consulted the friend that I was with, and we decided that if they were both going to come the same day, I had the thought that, like, since I was already on the phone with the woman talking about it, and I had her name because I didn't keep any records from any prior conversations or letters that told me wrong stuff, or maybe it was right stuff, I don't know, because I didn't keep them. Because they didn't say what I wanted to hear, which was, here's your money now in your hand. And it was so I'm talking to her, but I'm like not yelling at her. I'm just trying to get through the call, but I am like losing patience, because I'm just, like, she's asking me stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, do you really have to ask me that? Can't we just, like, get to the point? And then, like, I stopped doing that, but then she stayed mad at me for doing it. So we're talking, and she was getting, like, argumentative and aggressive, and the call is on speaker because you cannot hear. I didn't have my headphones in, and everything else on my phone is loud as hell, but not phone calls. So I have it on speaker, and me and my caregiver actually are sitting there listening to it. And I go, okay, so I think what I want to do is go ahead and get the expedited card, because I'll have, even though it comes on the same day the other ones do, I'll have a record that, you know, this call existed, I got your name, and then if something messes up, then I'll be able to call and say, why did this not happen? And so I think she took offense at that. And so she was saying, do you understand that you're going to have 2 cards and one of them's not going to be valid? But she did not say that. She used a much more convoluted route to get there. But that is what I said. And I said, yes, I do understand that I will get 2 cards and one of them will not validate, will not activate. Yeah, will not activate and won't be valid. I understand that. And I said it like a few times, but she's talking. Either we were talking over each other, so I'd stop and let her talk, but she just was like already, like, she was basically scolding me, you know. And then I was getting irritated because it was like, yeah, we keep saying the same thing. She's like, I don't think you understand. And, you know, me and my caregiver just looking at each other like, what, woman, what are you talking about? We're both saying the same thing back and forth. So this went on for a little bit, but interspersed in her commentary, she kept saying, stop screaming at me, stop screaming at me. And again, me and my caregiver are looking at each other like, what is this bitch talking about? And we finally got like what she was supposed to do. She said she was done, but she was still talking, and she said, stop screaming at me, because I was trying to say thank you, goodbye. And she said, stop screaming at me. And I just looked at my caregiver and snapped, and I said, and I screamed at her, I'm not screaming at you. And then I said, thank you for your time. Have a good rest of your day. And I hung up because she was like, bah, 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 bah. And I was like, okay, well, you know, can she screw me up though? She could not like expedite the card, but if she did that, would she cancel the one that was coming? Well, here's what happened. We got home from Social Security and no card. So after my caregiver left, later in the afternoon, a couple of hours, when the mail came, because we got a new person and they're erratic with the delivery time. But after she left, as I normally do, I went out for a ride on my trike. And when I came back home, what the hell do you think was in the mailbox? Was the card. So, you know, for me, the lesson is slow the F down. It's hard, though. I mean, you understand, like, the lead up to all of that. And I felt terrible. I seriously considered, should I do this or not? Because I'm crazy like that, I guess. But she kept saying I was screaming at her. And, like, for once, that was the looks exchanged between me and my caregiver. Because not that I do that all the time, but she knows that I have the capacity to. So she was looking at me like, I can't believe you're not already screaming at her. And I was like, I know, I can't believe it either, but I'm really trying not to do that. And I just, like I said, I just snapped. Just keep telling me I'm not screaming at you when I'm trying to do it right. And I am like crazy like that. So I think the lesson is like, slow down and like, slow down some more. Because I was going to say slow down and think about it. Well, I did I was slow and I thought about it, and I still did something crazy. And then like I said, I was feeling so bad. So later, I'm watching one of my channelings, and it's my arcturians, and they are the big ones, like, to come in and say, specifically, oddly enough, you know, if you have a bad day and you say or do something that you regret later, don't beat yourself up too bad about it. And I was glad to hear that, because in between the screaming and the arcturians, I watched this other thing, and it was like a like a religious thing, or like a Bible passage or something like that, and it was talking about like doing something that you come to saying or doing something that you come to regret later. And it was like, saying sorry is not enough, though. You have to do more than have feelings and words. You have to take action. And I was just all, like, even now I'm getting like a sort of a chilling sensation over my skin, but like my hair's standing up feeling. But the reason why is because I just think wrathful. God, that's so wrathful. That's wrathful God stuff, and like I'm not a fan. And like the arcturians came later, and that's the thing. It's like I'm always in this space between how do I think about this, you know. Thankfully, like the modern way of dealing with this, or it might even be, I don't know what happened in the past, I'm not going to go there, but the modern way to deal with interacting with like ETs in the way that like I do, because they're not, I don't think they're going to come visit me at my door physically, and I'm not a breeder. So, and I just say that not in the sense that I'm not heterosexual. I am. I just don't have a uterus anymore. So I don't think I'm literally a breeder. Like, I'm just not. I feel like I'm just not one of the people that are part of that particular, I was going to say program, or I will say program, but I don't mean like change your brain, just like part of a system, activity group, something along those lines. So you get a little bit of the guilt and the wrath with your programming, like I've had with the Christianity, the Catholicism. Yes, that programming, but then that I want to undo, and that makes more sense, that feels more like me, feels more authentic, is when you listen to people like the Arcturians, or like Cryon, or people I talk about all the time, or. So anyway, I mean, check my community tab. There's stuff there, like I'm talking about right now. So anyway, yeah, living between like the two polar sort of realities of life right now. It is, I don't know what more I can do to, you know, let that woman know that I'm sorry for screaming at her. Although that's the thing though, it's like I'm not that sorry, because I feel like she provoked me. I even asked her, I said, why are you trying to talk me out of the thing? But she didn't answer me. She didn't answer that question. She just said something like kind of unrelated, and like snapped at me. I don't know, like it was a weird thing. So I mean, maybe I could call up and I didn't do the survey at the end. Maybe I can call up and do the survey. Although, what could I say? That she did a good job. I can't honestly say that. So, I mean, I do regret it. This is my physical action. This is what I'm doing for Miss V. I don't want to name her. I appreciate that she was there to take the call. I can tell that she was really efficient. I'm sorry that she took offense with me trying to see my A. Because I'd had all this previous stuff like I explained, and like made me confused, and I didn't know what was what with it, and I just wanted my money to come when someone said it was going to come, and have it come then. Like, I just want one thing to be real, you know? And she didn't know all of that, and excuse me. I don't know what could have been going on with her. But the point is, when I got back home and got the card, I was able to activate it. So I don't think she did what I had asked her to do. And she didn't have to after I screamed at her. But I was already at that point thinking she wasn't going to do anything I was asking her to do. And, you know, just I would like to move away from that, and I just really need to. And it's so funny that the cat that's on here, you can see it's like representing art and music, and look at its mugging. So maybe you could get some of your dramatic pursuits in there, your comedy, your film and television, whatever. But like I said, I felt pretty awful about that. So to make myself feel better, I was watching kitten stuff on YouTube, and there were some very young kittens, a pair of them, and they'd been left somewhere, like dumped, and it opened with this woman opening her door, who was the foster carer for the little animals, and she opens her front door, and there's a gift bag sitting out there, and there's a little orange tabby and a little gray and black tabby, you know, from the same litter, and they were very young, very tiny, like really, like so young that their eyes were just barely open, and they just are so helpless and feeble, and their little cries just, oh my god. But they're so cute, and you get to see that the woman takes good care of them, and their sad story is over, and they're frolicking and they're playing. And the little orange one was so cute. It was such a little ham, and it made me feel so much happier and better. And that, I think, is kind of the point of this card, that this is what you want to do to relieve your stress and like whatever kind of pain you might be feeling from whatever's going on in your life, whatever's going on in that day that might have you screaming at people, or, I mean, please don't do worse, but sometimes it's worse. And, you know, there's a wide spectrum that beyond screaming at people, but starting from there is not a good point, I would submit. So, I'm sure we're all having days like this and times like this, and we're also like looking around at, there is some stuff happening publicly with people where you're just like kind of amazed and blown away. But I think if I'm going to go by some of the things that I've been watching that I'm like sort of integrating into my thinking, like some from like the Old Testament in a way, like the biblical disaster, scary stuff, because that, all of those stories, I think, aside from being written like hundreds of years or more, I can't remember if it's thousands even, but after the fact, and it's channeled information, but channels are not always true. Mediums are not always true, or even actual or like authentic at what they claim to be, and they're doing stuff. And sometimes people listen without paying close attention, and I feel like we are given by the people that thought we should have that information, like the Bible, or even other holy books. They're like curated in a way. So getting lost. Hold on. They're just gonna have you thinking a certain way because they're the manual for that. The manual for thinking a certain way to maintain. It doesn't even have to be like evil control, but it's just like if there's a bunch of us that if we don't have like some idea, some help with what we're supposed to be doing, then it's not good for us. So it's not necessarily terrible. I mean, because we have government and we're still more or less free to think and do stuff. So everything's always a spectrum. You gotta like take that into consideration. Okay, I'm taking too long and I need to go. But I feel like I got out mainly what I wanted to say about my stuff, and everyone else just like take a step back, take a breath. I know in the moment it's hard. Like, I know I keep saying that. How long am I going to be saying that? Not much longer, I hope, because there are improvements. So maybe you need to hear that too. Like some kind of aspect of yourself you're working on that you just feel like you're picking away and it's not really doing anything. But that is not the case. Think of weight loss. You can be on a diet for 2 days and you're not going to see any immediate action, but you have to keep doing it for a while to see any action. Kind of everything is like that. So I guess that's my point. Thank you and good night. Where's that thing?